Tash Talks is proudly sponsored by Recharge for smarter subscription experiences. The world's best brands are powered by routine, and the world's best routines are powered by Recharge. Hello and welcome to Tash Talks, the chat show where I meet some of the most inspirational female entrepreneurs and leaders in the UK today. If you wear tights, which if you're a woman, I'm sure you do, then you are going to love our guest today. She is a trailblazer in the tights industry and I can't wait to hear her story. So who is Bri Read?
Well, I'm CEO of Snag Tights. I also founded the brand, and I am a new mum of two little girls as well, a 10-month-old and a 2-year-old. So yeah, that's basically me.
Well, congratulations on the new arrivals to the family, and congratulations on Snag Tights. I mean, for me, Snag is one of the standout brands of the past 5 years. Tell us how you founded it.
So I had a really embarrassing incident. I was walking along a street in Edinburgh, a very fancy shopping street, and my tights were falling down, and they fell down past my knees. And at that point I was like, I'm not just going to be able to pick them up and pull them up again. It's not going to work. So in my mind I had this perfectly executed move where I would just whip the tights off, kind of take my shoes off, whip the tights off, put my shoes back on again and walk on, and nobody would notice. In my mind it worked fine. In reality, not that fine. It went really quite badly wrong. And then I turned around and 200 very fancy shoppers were staring at me like, what did she just do?
So you tried to whip your tights off in the street in Edinburgh?
Yes.
Whilst walking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not my most well thought out kind of moment, but I was under a lot of stress. My tights were slipping down. And then I had this thing where I was like, either this is going to be one of those dreams that haunts me every night for the rest of my life, or I kind of make light out of it. So I spoke to a lot of my friends and they all had similar stories about tights. And I was like, wow, fat people can't get tights that fit, thin people can't get tights that fit, nobody seems to be able to get tights that fit. And then I was like, I wonder, if there is actually something wrong with tights. So I bought every single pair of tights that was available in the market and worked out that they were actually all the same width. So extra, extra small, extra, extra large tights were just the same. They were just different lengths.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why they don't fit anyone. So then I was like, I think we could definitely do something here, but need to see how big the market is first. And then did some research, and the market was worth $6.8 billion. And at that point I was like, a broken market that's worth $6.8 billion, this sounds like it's a potential opportunity. So I did a big survey and asked people, if they could find tights that fit, and 90% of people answered my survey and said they couldn't find tights that fit. And I was like, at that point I was like, I'm going to fix this. It needs to be fixed. Nobody else is doing it. I'm going to do it. And that was kind of how I started Snag.
And what was the ethos of the brand at that point, aside from the fit? Because you've become really well known from an outsider's point of view, for colours, vibrancy. Was that part of Snag from the start?
So I think it was about something that finally made you feel good. So what we heard from people, we actually started with just black tights, but what we heard from people was that being able to wear a pair of tights means you can wear dresses, means you can wear skirts, opens up your wardrobe in this way, and that makes you feel so much more positive about yourself. And then, people started requesting great colours, so we brought in all of the colours, and it kind of gives you that kind of dopamine hit of, wow, this is such a beautiful colour. I get to wear it, it makes me happy while I'm wearing it, and that's how we kind of brought the colours in, as well as just always believing that, everything you should do as ethically as possible, which we tried to do as well.
And prior to that, you've been working in marketing and you've been a CEO, hadn't you?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that you had never run a business before. So how did the past experience help you in terms of setting up Snag?
Well, for me, I just wanted to do everything differently. So I really hated the way businesses have been are run. So things like, meeting culture really annoys me, having to be present in an office, not working, flexible hours, not working when you choose, all of that really I find very depressing in a working environment. So I wanted to do something that was completely different from that. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was have a product that I was proud of every single part of it, because I've sold products before where you're aware they're not the best they can be, and I think that's a very soul destroying experience.
Yeah.
And for Snag, I wanted to know that everybody who touched this product was paid the living wage, that it was made in the most ethical way it could be, that there was no single-use plastic, that nobody had been hurt through the production of this product.
Yeah.
And then that it really fit and it actually did the job that it was supposed to do. And that was what I wanted to kind of make my heart happy, and I managed to kind of do all of that in the product.
And I think that's something that all brands want to do, like ticking all those boxes, but very few manage to achieve it. Is it difficult to get that balance right?
I don't think it is. I think you just need to not be prepared to compromise, and people that know me know that I'm really not good at compromise. And I think that's, you and your customer own what that product is and what the brand is. And I think you can't let that be adulterated by other things. And people always said to me, I think you should double your prices. Why don't you make the tights in China and then they'll be cheaper? Why don't you make the quality less good so they wear out so people will buy them again quicker? And you're going, well, no, because I want everyone to be able to afford this product. I want them to be made by people that are passionate for them. I want them to be durable and last as absolutely long as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, why would I compromise on any of those things for, better marginal return in the short term? It's you just have to say no a lot, I think. No, I get why you're saying that, but no, I won't do that.
So let's rewind to 2018. That's when Snag started, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've grown tremendously fast. Just share with our viewers the size of the brand, the amount of employees, and then I want to come on to some of your unique ways of operating it, because I believe you've got an inspirational setup and I want to make sure we share it. So starting with the size.
So we obviously started at 0 in 2018. We're turning
With
over
what, a Shopify website?
with a Shopify website that was made in a pub overnight.
Okay.
So yeah, in 2 hours the Shopify website was made, and we turn over 44 million now. So it's been quite a kind of rapid growth to that point. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like a lot of hard work, but it's been a lot of people. There's 120 people in Snag now, and they are all absolutely incredible. And I like to think of our customer base as the extra extension to that. So there's an extra 2.2 million people that help us every day with amazing ideas, incredible feedback, and are just as engaged in the product as we are.
And these 2.2 million people are the Snag customers, and also your community, to the extent that they've been given a name.
Yeah, so they're called the Snaglers, and there's also a whole kind of lexicon that comes with it. So if you're browsing like the Snag website and something slips into your basket and you buy it, it's called a snagcident. And there's like a whole bunch of words that kind of are part of being a Snagler and the kind of snag buying experience.
And they've been renamed Snag Army more recently because of their absolute loyalty to the brand.
So it's their loyalty, I think, not to the brand but to the ideals. And I think Snaglers are incredibly fair, and they see things the way they really are, and they seek justice, and they care very much about the community. Like, our community is incredibly supportive, into all sorts of kind of different groups. So we're super trans friendly. We've done like work with Black Fae Day, all sorts of these kind of marginalised communities that don't get space or time or the love that they should get. We try and give all of them as much love as possible. And I think having a community of people who has those ideas when they're looking at the world is beautiful. And you don't find them in one geographical spot. They're, across 93 different countries in the world, but they are just the kind of kindest, sweetest, most big-hearted people that you could ever meet.
So, Brie, let's talk about some of the ways in which Snag operates as a business, because you're quite unusual, aren't you? First of all, in terms of most brands that at the scale you're at are private equity owned or have had investment. Now, you started with a small amount of angel investment, but other than that, you've kind of steered clear. Can you just share why that is? I think lots of people think they have to get investment and they must get it immediately before they can even do anything.
I think that's a real big kind of just lie about what it is to be an entrepreneur. And I think, when you have a business, I think you need to take a lot of steps at the start to make sure that, you're profitable on first order, that you're not in a situation where you're having to burn cash, but you shouldn't have to be. And I think if you've got your product market fit right, you can kind of build that up a little bit slowly, bit by bit, over time. And I think when you do get external investment in, as lovely as people can be, you know, their motives are never really aligned with yours and your brands and your customers. And I think as soon as you know, don't put your customer first, I think the brand is at risk. And I think for me, you know, I would never do anything to risk the Snaglers and to risk, you know, giving them the product they want and they expect from us. And I think that's a big part of not taking investment. But I think it's also that people want to change your business, and we're a very unique business.
I mean, you must have lots of investors and people wanting to talk to you, because obviously the business has grown so fast and is trading extremely profitably.
Absolutely, they do. But as well, what they want is for you to be more normal, and we hear that a lot. And we're not a very normal business, and I think that's absolutely. I love that about our business. But you know, when other people see it, they're like, you should spend less on this. You know, why do you have a team of people just, you know, designated to help your online customers with whatever their query is? I mean, we help people that don't even have queries about our product. If you want to message us and talk about a film you've just seen because, you know, you think it's super interesting the way that they've, you know, portrayed fat bodies on it, you know, someone will sit there and talk to you about it. And people are like, why do you do that? And I'm like, because they've talked to us, and if somebody takes the time to talk to you, you should take the time to talk back. And no, it's not an AI bot, and it will never be an AI bot, and you'll never get an automated response from us because you've taken the time to reach out to us. So the very least we can do is reach out to you with a real person as well. So you get all of these things that people ask you to change or they don't see the value in. And for me, I see the value in it. I don't want to change it. And I believe that you can build businesses from the ground up without investment. And you don't need to do that. And having a family business and leaving a legacy for your children as well is a beautiful thing. So yeah, investment isn't really for us.
And in terms of, I love the way you said, you know, investors would want you to be more normal. So because your company is 100% remote, and just talk to me about your approach to meetings, because meetings are normal. Lots of people like to have lots of meetings with lots of people in lots of meetings.
So we don't do meetings. So we have WhatsApp chats on subjects, and people contribute to them when they're feeling passionate about it. So my problem with meetings has always been, you know, you're sitting there at a time with, you know, 6 people, and one person's worried about what they're going to eat for dinner. One person's too cold and can't think of anything else but I'm cold. One person has a sick dog and they're worried about the dog. And nobody is bringing their best energy to that meeting. Yet, for your business, you really need all of their best ideas. And the way that we do it is instead each one of those people would contribute when they're thinking about the project and when they're having their best ideas about the project. And we'd collect that over a couple of days. And then that becomes the project and how we shape it, rather than have a meeting where people are just not engaged. We also have truly flexible working hours. So, you know, if you really do only like to work in the middle of the night, that's fine. Like nobody's gonna bother with it. That's fine. Go work in the middle of the night. If you want to, you know, take a month and work from a different country, that's fine. You know, go away and do that. We don't have requirements like that, because for us it's all output based rather than, you know, you sitting at a desk. We don't care if you're at a desk or not.
And you also operate the business on WhatsApp.
We do. So all of our communication is via WhatsApp, a lot more secure than email. And we just have WhatsApp groups. You can have a phone just for work if you want from the business to do your WhatsApp stuff on. But yeah, everybody just does everything on WhatsApp. We were very, very happy when WhatsApp launched its HD picture functionality, because that was the only thing that kept coming a cropper for us, is that pictures were never of high quality enough.
They keep going reduced in size.
But they are now, so you've got a little button you can tick, and that's made our lives even easier. So yeah.
And when people join the business and you say, look, this is a no meetings business, everything's on WhatsApp, I mean, is that what you say to people?
Yeah, no, we literally...
And you can work when you want to. I mean, surely you've got people queuing around the block to work for you.
So you do, but it's really interesting. You need to be, you know, not everyone's personality fits. And I think, you know, in many ways we're a company of introverts. And I'm a very introverted person. Most people that work for Snag are. And, you know, people don't like it when people phone other people up on the phone, because phone calls are awkward and they would rather not speak on the phone. So there's a lot of stuff, you know, also, you know, nobody cares that your, you know, uncle's dog's pixie friend has bought a new potato, right? Like nobody cares, because everybody's here to work, and it's a bit of a kind of a different environment. So we tell people when they start in the business.
So do you mean in terms
chaos.
of the culture then? It's not like everyone's chatting about all this other out of work stuff.
Yeah, so it's very much a place where, you know, your work is very valued, and
Yeah.
people who like to work are very valued,
Yeah.
and that works very well.
Yeah.
People who like to do a lot of meetings, because you can chat to people in meetings and then arrange more meetings to chat to people again, they tend to do less well, because it's very obvious that their engagement is much more around, you know, chatting with other people than it is doing work. So
what's interesting is in e-commerce, I definitely feel there's a wave of new brands who are taking the approach you're taking, very efficient, you know, minimal meetings, trying to get the thing operated by a sort of global team to manage costs and benefit across time zones. It's quite unusual to see a brand of your scale operating in that way, I think. Do you come across other brands of your scale operating in that way?
we don't, and people always go like, how do you do it? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm always like, just add more people to it. It keeps working. Like, it's not, you know, just keeps going. And I think that's because we do the breakaway groups as well for projects. So, you know, you'll never be in a project group with like, you know, 100 other people. We have a couple of groups that have lots of people in, which are more kind of information gathering. But also it allows us to be really flat. So, you know, anyone can have an idea. So everybody can message me whenever they want. That's, you know, that's not a problem. And whoever you are, you know, if you've got a good idea, like we had someone recently, one of our amazing people in the warehouse was like, "Oh, I want to do a pin. Could we do a pin?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, yeah, of course we could do a pin. That's a great idea." So she went away and she sourced it. You know, we went through all of our kind of ethical supplier checks with it. We got the product in, and then that product will be like up for sale, you know, as it comes out. And it's, you know, because why wouldn't you want someone to message you with a great idea?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I just think it's, you know, it's, and if somebody's unhappy or something bad's happened in their life, I'd like to know that as well, because, you know, maybe I can help. And I think a completely flat structure is very weird for people as well, because they're like, so how many people do you talk to on a daily basis? Not physically talk to, because that would be awkward, but on WhatsApp. And you're like, it doesn't matter to me, you know, it's a different way of doing it. You don't have to be checking people are doing their work all the time, because it's outputs.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the concept of fairness, because one of the things you shared with me is how fairness is at the heart of what you're doing. Some businesses are driven by profit. There's a wave of businesses that are driven by purpose over profit. I feel that your concept of fairness aligns very much with a purposeful business. How does fairness play a role, and what sort of role does it play?
Well, for us, it's all about being fair to everyone, right? So it starts with being fair to our customer, and that means, you know, our margins are low. That means that we put you first at all times. That means when you get a product from us, it will fit you. So our returns rate are 2% compared to...
Which is incredible for fashion, because it's not just tights in your collection,
no,
is it?
No. That's actually 2% on our clothes. We, you know, that's literally for the clothes part of it, not the tights part of it.
I mean, that's unheard of.
You know, where other brands would be at, you know, 40 to 60% returns rate. And that's because of the sheer amount of work that we and dedication we put into making fits happen. So, you know, we'll have 72 different prototypes of a product, which is fitted across, you know, all of our different sizes and different body shapes across those sizes multiple times before it goes live. So when you buy from us, you know, you can be assured that something fits.
And this was your recent bra that went through 72 prototypes.
Yeah, so the bra was an incredible part. We've been fitting jeans now for 2 years, and they're due to come out in November, and we're very, very excited about those, because I've been wearing them and I can play with the kids on the floor, do a whole load of stuff, stand up, run around, and they're still never uncomfortable. They fit perfectly. I'm super
jeans
excited.
Are so tough. They're so tough.
These are so good. I'm just so excited for everyone to get to wear them. I just love them. I haven't been out of them apart from today for ages. But yeah, it's that kind of process where, you know, you have to be fair to the customer, and those things are what makes it fair. It's the effort that you put into having a really great product. And then for us, it's also being, you know, fair to the people that work for Snag, you know, which is about flexible working. If you're going to dedicate time to us, then, you know, we should dedicate that back to you. It's things like, you know, private healthcare, mental health support, you know, making sure that you've got, you know, if you're in the warehouse, there's food there for you to eat, and, you know, all of those things, and that every person that touches a Snag product is paid a fair wage, you know, and actually, you know, we're never putting pressure on suppliers to put pressure on their workers, because that's just a really unfair place to be. And, you know, we take that incredibly seriously. We do our own audits, we visit all the factories. It's a big part of how we select,
Yeah.
you know, people to work with. And then it's that kind of, you know, how do you be fair to the kind of planet as well? And that's all through our tights are the very first recyclable tights in the whole world. So all of our products can be recycled. We developed that kind of process alongside our supplier in a university. And it's just, you know, the water that's used to dye the tights is recycled, all of those kind of little tiny details. And for me, that means so much more than going, you know, I'm going to be a B Corp. That's great. But you also need to look at your own processes and the things that you can do within your organisation that make a big difference. And we look at that all the time. So it's like, for us, it's being fair to our customers, being fair to the people that work for Snag, and being, you know, fair to the planet. And that's how we kind of balance the fairness out across everything.
And you've shared with me how you could easily drive more profit by increasing prices to the customer, or, like people have suggested, you moving your supply chain somewhere else. And is this one of the things where you just do Brie and say no? No,
absolutely no. Do you know what I mean? That's never going to be something that we do. It's a hard no.
Because it wouldn't be fair.
It wouldn't be fair. And I think that's the other thing. You know, it just wouldn't be a fair thing to do. And, you know, if we don't put our customers first in everything that we do, when they co-own the brand, you know, who are you as a business? They are the kind of the light that leads everything. And I always find it really weird when people go, you know, somebody goes, who's your customer? And they're like, well, I think it's a 16 to 12-year-old woman. And you're like, you can't pick your customers pick you. And these incredible people picked us. And all we can do is support them as best as we can. So, you know, that for me is the kind of, you know, the top of the pyramid. We exist to get that right. And, you know, and we've gone to crazy extremes as well. We had a pair of tights once that was over-dyed. So there was too much dye in the pair of tights. Somebody sat on their cream sofa and it dyed their sofa. So we bought them a new sofa because, do you know what I mean? That was our fault, and it was only fair because it was her brand new cream sofa. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's only fair. You know, when you put it like that, it's actually only fair, isn't it?
It's only fair that we did that. You know, and people are like, why do you do stuff like that? And you're like, because it's fair. Do you know what I mean? It was our fault. We did it. We own up to it, and it's like we put it right. And that's what we like to do as a business as well. That's really different. Is we're more than happy to own our mistakes. We learn from them. You know, nobody's perfect. We're absolutely not perfect. But will we listen to everyone, and will we learn from them, and will we change? Absolutely. And if we're wrong, we're the first people to go, look, we made a really big mistake, and we're sorry, and this is how we're going to fix it.
I mean, one of the things that fascinates me about brands, obviously we all know community is hugely important, but then community co-creation of products. Now, the Kardashian family deploy this through all their product launches, where products are co-created with their community. I think more and more brands are kind of getting wind of this and trying to get their community involved. But this has been something you've done from the outset, isn't it? How do people co-create with their community, and what's the benefits of doing that?
So it's really interesting, right? So someone will come up, we have something called Snag Club, which is where it's a Facebook group. It's got lots and lots, I think it's got 25,000 people in it at the moment. But that's where most of that happens. And people will come up with an idea. They'll go, you know, jeans, for example. We really can't get jeans that fit.
Was that from a community member, jeans?
100%,
Yeah. Would you have got to jeans yourself, do you think?
So everything we do is on the list from the community. So we haven't done anything that they've not suggested yet.
Okay.
And I don't think we ever would get to the end
How long is
of
the
their
list?
requests. It's a very long list. Some things are easier, some things are harder. Jeans was one of the harder things.
I mean, jeans are known to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and it's taken us 2 years so far to get to where we are. But they'll do that kind of, you know, they'll go, this is a suggestion. And then we'll go, you know, we'll do some kind of mock-ups and go, did you mean this?
Yeah.
And like we did with dresses recently, they were like, no, this is not what we meant. No, we hate them. And then you're like, okay, they're gone. Did you mean this? And then they're like, yeah, it's kind of better, but, you know, not quite where we want it to be.
Do the community gather in small groups then for, say, the jeans project? Or do you have 25,000 people inputting?
Yeah. It's a lot of input. And then they'll be like, you know, no, we don't like that one either. And then you'll be like, do you like this? And then like, yes. And then you're like, well, what colours would you like it in? You know, what don't you like about the existing products that you've got? You know, what do you really want? I mean, one of the things we hear, everything we do has pockets in. Because, you know, women love pockets.
Yeah, and pockets are really important.
Pockets are really important.
They're really important.
So we always make sure we've got pockets in it. Pockets is always one of the kind of top, you know, things when you go, you know, what is wrong with what's existing? And they're like, well, it doesn't have pockets.
I know, and I can't believe whenever you buy anything it doesn't have pockets. You're like, why doesn't this have pockets on it?
It's just basic things, which again are done to cut cost and you know, all of that type of stuff. So it's like, what can we do differently about this? What do you need? You know, and with jeans, very much it was like, I want to be able to walk around. I want to be comfortable, and I don't want it to look like skinny jeans, right? Anyone can wear jeggings, but I want it to look like a real pair of jeans. I want it to feel like a real pair of jeans, because why should I have ones with loads of elastic and special things? And, you know, why can't it just be a pair of jeans that fits everyone? So, you know, you have a very good idea of what you're going to develop, and then you kind of go through the process. We have a whole load of fit models. So normally with fashion, you fit on a size 8, and then it gets mechanically graded. So our starting models are size 24, and then we have models in every other size. So we don't mechanically grade anything. Everything gets fit on real, actual people. And then it kind of goes through that process. We get the prototypes back, we share those, we give them out to more people, it goes backwards and forwards until eventually we have a product that everybody's happy with, and then we launch it. One of the great benefits of doing that is when you launch a product, it is popular, because you know, everybody's decided it's something that they need and they want, and this is the kind of version that they like. And that makes a huge difference, I think. It means you can really put into the development of it, because you know that people are going to support you and buy it at the end of it. And
did it take you time to have confidence in that, or did you realise from the off that the community co-creation process would mean you'd naturally have a sort of hot market for the products?
I think it just, we always thought it would be that way. And I think, you know, for me, the more open you are with your customers, you know, the better. And there's nothing, you know, we've got nothing to hide. We want them to be involved at every stage. So it was always kind of, we're always kind of going to do it that way, because, you know, they should be part of it all. Why wouldn't they be? So
fantastic. So we're going to go on a little trip down memory lane. So the first photo we have is an extremely cute little girl. Who can this possibly be?
That's actually a photo of me, and I'm in China there. So I was very lucky to grow up in China and Africa and lots of different countries in the Arab states as well. And I think for me, it really affected how you feel about entrepreneurship and possibilities. And that has really stuck with me. When we lived in China, my dad used to build power stations. And I remember him building one power station and switched the lights on. And the next day, there was an entire village that had been, like, kind of came up overnight next to the power station, taking their electricity from it. And there was actually, we went for a walk through it, and there was a cold, like, fridge of Coke with a bar that had been made out of paper mache. And you could sit down at a bar and have a cold Coke in an area that hadn't had electricity before. This is like 1984, 1985. And that for me was like, anything is possible, right? If you can do this, like, literally anything is possible. And I think for me that you don't have to be a special person, you know, you don't need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day and lift an amazing amount of weights and, you know, have like mantras that you say to yourself. You can be, you know.
Do you need to do cold plunge pools?
No, like you can nap and like cake and still be a successful entrepreneur, because everybody can be, you know. It's not a special thing, it's not a special skill set, it's just the desire to do it. That's, you know, it's actually really simple and not complicated at all. So whenever I see that picture, I always remember that kind of time and that lesson about how, you know, if you can move literally mountains overnight, how can you not, you know, start a business that solves a problem and, you know, and put your heart and soul into it.
So Brie, when was this next photo taken?
So this photo was actually taken after I'd lost a lot of weight and I was really, really sick. And it was for me the kind of moment where it dawned on me that, you know, I'd spent my entire life thinking my body was wrong and I was a terrible human being because I was fat. And the world was literally telling me that because I couldn't fit in any clothes. You know, the world wasn't shaped for me. And I thought I was horrible. And in my head, all of the time, all I had was, you know, if you lose weight, everything's going to be better. If you lose weight, everything's going to be better. Please lose weight, please lose weight. And that
was that consuming? That must have been
absolutely all consuming.
Was that like 100% of the time?
100% of the time, day and night. It would literally be, you know, this terrible kind of voice in your head telling you how not worth anything you are because of your size. And when I finally lost that weight, I was like, well, that voice will stop, right? And it didn't. And that was really surprising for me. And that was at that moment that I really started to realise, actually, there was nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me at that size. There's nothing wrong with me at this size. Clothes are wrong. And the whole industry that comes around that, clothes should really fit. They should be able to fit your shoulders. They shouldn't look like a tent. And I think that's really important.
Our final photo looks like a family Christmas shot.
Yeah, this is my my 4 girls, my 2 bonus daughters and my 2 little daughters. My kind of adopted bonus daughter isn't in this pic, but she should be. And for me, this is why I do it. This is the future, and I never want for them to feel like they are less than because of their size, or they are less than because of their gender. And I want them to be able to go out into this world and make a difference and not have that negative voice in their head. I don't want them to ever have that. And for me, that's really my inspiration now, is I want to change the world for them. And I know that's a really big ask to change the world, but you know, if you don't try, you can't do something. So I'm going to try my very, very hardest.
And Brie, it's amazing because you're running a huge business, albeit in quite an unconventional way, but you have got 2 very young children. Your youngest is not even a year old. A lot of women always get asked, how do you do that? So let me ask you, how do you do that?
So I think I'm really lucky. I've got a nanny, she's incredible. And, you know, knowing that my kids are safe with her is great. But I've had to put really strict boundaries around when I work. So I work, you know, from 9 till 4 every day, and then after they're asleep. And outside of that time, my time is theirs. You know, it isn't for anything else. And every weekend I get to spend all day like crawling around on the floor, like, you know, with rabbits and, you know, drawing elephants and, you know, all of the stuff that, you know, they love to do. And it kind of just takes you back to the important things in life. And I actually think they've given me a real kind of rounding to my life, which, you know, makes me a nicer person. And I'm really grateful for that, as well as just how incredible they are.
Well, thank you so much, Brie. I mean, what an incredible business you've built with Snag Tights. I literally am blown away. I think you've just done such a great job, and it's fantastic to see you doing things in your own way as well, whilst having such huge success and having all this positive impact. I mean, I don't know what more you could want.
Thank you so much. It's got its moments. It's hard a lot of the time, but I think, you know, it's so worth it, that it means that you get up every morning filled with passion for it, and that's really all I ever wanted in my life. So I'm an incredibly lucky person.
Thank you, Brie. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Tash Talks is proudly sponsored by Recharge for smarter subscription experiences. The world's best brands are powered by routine, and the world's best routines are powered by Recharge.